What if I told you that 87 out of 100 millionaires said the same thing, and it had nothing to do with working harder? Over the past year, I sat down with 100 self-made millionaires, CEOs, entrepreneurs, investors, and people who built empires from scratch. I asked them one simple question. What's the Owen money secret that changed everything for you? I expected answers like work 80-hour weeks, or invest in real estate, or start a side hustle. But what I discovered shocked me to my core, because 87 of them, nearly 9 out of 10, gave me the exact same answer. And when I applied this secret to my own life, everything shifted. Today, I'm going to share their responses with you. Not theories, not motivational fluff. Real, actionable wisdom from people who've actually built wealth. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why most people stay broke and how you can break free starting today. Let me paint a picture. Most of us grow up believing certain myths about money. We're told to go to school, get a good job, work hard, save a little, and retire at 65. We're taught that money is scarce, that rich people are lucky or greedy, that wealth is for other people. I believed these things too. I worked a corporate job for 7 years, trading my time for a paycheck that barely covered my bills. I was stuck in what I call the earning trap, the belief that the only way to make more money is to work more hours. Then I met Michael, a 42-year-old who retired with $8 million in the bank. He wasn't a tech genius. He didn't inherit money. He worked as a sales manager at a mid-sized company. When I asked him his secret, he smiled and said something that changed my perspective forever. He said, "I stopped trading time for money. I started trading value for equity." That one sentence unlocked everything. And as I interviewed more millionaires, I kept hearing variations of the same principle. Here's what 87 millionaires told me. They stopped thinking about hourly wages or annual salaries. Instead, they focused on building, buying, or creating equity. What does that mean? Equity is ownership. It's owning a piece of a business, property, patent, brand, or asset that generates income without your constant involvement. Sarah, a millionaire I interviewed, put it this way: when I worked my 9 to 5, I made $75 a year. Sounds decent, right? But I was capped. There were only so many hours I could work. Then I started a small e-commerce store on the side. It took me 2 years to build, but now it makes $300,000 a year, and I work maybe 10 hours a week on it. That's equity. Let me break this down further. When you work a job, you're renting out your time. Your boss owns the value you create. But when you own something, a business, stocks, real estate, intellectual property, you own the value itself. Here's the shift. Stop asking, how much does this job pay? Start asking, what can I own? One millionaire, David, told me he worked as a software engineer for 5 years. Good salary, but he wasn't getting rich. Then he negotiated equity in a startup instead of a higher salary. That startup sold for $50 million 3 years later. His equity stake, $2.1 million. The millionaires I spoke with didn't get lucky. They positioned themselves to own pieces of growing assets. And here's the key. You don't need $1 million to start. You can start with 100, buying fractional shares of businesses. You can start a side project and build it into an asset. You can learn a high-value skill and freelance, turning your expertise into a scalable service. The question isn't, can I afford to think in equity? The question is, can I afford now to? The second pattern I noticed, every single millionaire understood leverage. Leverage means getting more output from less input. It's using tools, systems, people, or money to multiply your results. Let me give you an example. John, a real estate millionaire, started with one rental property. He saved for years to buy it, but then he learned about leverage. He took out a loan on that property, used the equity to buy 2 more properties, then 4, then 8. Within 10 years, he owned 47 properties worth $15 million. He didn't use his own money after the first property. He used the bank's money, and the rent from tenants paid the mortgages. That's financial leverage. But there are other types. Amanda, a software entrepreneur, used people leverage. She hired a team to build her app while she focused on sales and marketing. Her time was multiplied by 10 people working simultaneously. Then there's technology leverage. Carlos built a YouTube channel with 2 million subscribers. He creates one video a week, but that video reaches millions. He's leveraging a platform that amplifies his voice infinitely. Here's what the millionaires taught me: broke people trade time for money, 1-to-1. Millionaires use leverage to turn 1 hour into 10, 100, or 1,000 hours of value. The brutal truth: if you're not using leverage, you're leaving millions on the table. So ask yourself, what can I leverage? Your skills, other people's time, other people's money, technology, distribution platforms. One millionaire told me, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. That's the leverage mindset. Here's something that blew my mind: millionaires don't chase money. They chase problems. Specifically, expensive problems. Let me explain. Lisa, a consultant who made $4 million last year, told me this: I don't sell my time. I sell solutions to problems that cost companies more than they're paying me. She works with corporations to streamline operations. If a company is wasting $5 million a year on inefficiency, and she can fix it for $500,000, they'll pay her happily. She's not selling hours. She's selling transformation. This is a game changer. Most people think, I need to work harder to make more money. Millionaires think, I need to solve bigger problems. The bigger the problem, the more people will pay to fix it. Think about it. A plumber fixing a leaky faucet makes $100. A plumber fixing a burst pipe flooding a mansion makes $5,000. Same skill, different problem size. One entrepreneur I interviewed, Marcus, built a 20 million business helping companies reduce their cybersecurity risks. He didn't invent new technology. He just identified an expensive problem, data breaches costing companies millions, and positioned himself as the solution. Here's the shift: stop thinking, what can I do? Start thinking, what painful problem can I solve? And here's the secret within the secret: you don't need to solve any W problems. You can solve OLD problems: BTAR, FASTAR, or CHICHIPAR. One millionaire, Janet, started a meal prep service. Not revolutionary, right? But she targeted busy executives willing to pay $2,000 a week for healthy, chef-quality meals delivered daily. She solved their problem: no time to eat well, and they happily paid premium prices. The more expensive the problem you solve, the more wealth you create. So ask yourself right now, what problem do I see in the world? Who's suffering from it? How much would they pay to fix it? This one was fascinating. Nearly every millionaire I spoke with talked about symmetric risk. What does that mean? It means taking bets where the downside is small, but the upside is massive. Traditional thinking says, don't take risks. Millionaire thinking says, take smart risks where you can't lose much, but you can win big. Let me give you examples. Kevin invested $5 in a friend's startup. Worst case, he loses $5,000. Best case, the company goes public and his shares are worth $500,000. That's 100x return. Asymmetric, Daniel spent $2,000 on an online course to learn copywriting. Worst case, she's out $2,000. Best case, she lands clients paying $10,000 per project. Asymmetric. Here's what I learned: broke people avoid all risk. Middle class people take safe bets with capped upside, like a savings account earning 1%. Millionaires take calculated risks with limited downside and unlimited upside. One millionaire, Robert, told me, I've made 50 bets in my life. 40 failed. But the 10 that worked made me 30 million. That's how wealth works. You don't need to win every time. You just need a few asymmetric wins. This changed how I think about money. I used to avoid risk entirely. Now I ask, what's the worst that can happen? Can I handle that? And what's the BS that can happen? Example, starting a YouTube channel. Downside, you spend a few months creating content that no one watches. Upside, you build a 1 million subscriber channel generating a $50,000 a month. Asymmetric. Example, learning a high-income skill like coding, sales, or video editing. Downside. You spend 6 months learning. Upside. You make $150,000 a year for the rest of your career. Asymmetric. The millionaires taught me this: you don't get rich playing it safe. You get rich by taking intelligent risks where the reward far outweighs the risk. So, what asymmetric bet can you make this year? Here's a truth that hit me hard: millionaires are lazy. Not in a bad way, in a strategic way. They automate everything they can. They systematize their businesses. They eliminate repetitive tasks. Why? Because time is their most valuable asset. Greg, a millionaire I interviewed, runs a 10 million e-commerce business, but he works only 15 hours a week. How? He built systems. He has automated email sequences that nurture leads. He has a fulfillment partner who handles shipping. He has a team managing customer service. His role: strategy and growth. He told me, if I'm doing something more than twice, I systematize it. If it doesn't require my brain, I delegate it or automate it. This is revolutionary. Most people think success means hustling 24/7. Millionaires think success means building a machine that runs without them. Here's how you apply this in your business. How you apply document processes. Create standard operating procedures. Hire virtual assistants. Use tools like Zapier to automate workflows. In your finances, automate savings. Automate investments. Set up systems so money flows into wealth, building assets without you thinking about it. In your life, meal prep once a week. Batch your errands. Use templates for repetitive tasks. One millionaire, Nina, told me she spends the first 2 hours of her week planning systems. Then, the rest of her week runs on autopilot. The result? She built a $5 million consulting firm while traveling the world. Here's the mindset shift: stop glorifying business. Start glorifying results with less effort. The goal isn't to work 80 hours a week. The goal is to build systems that generate wealth while you sleep, travel, or spend time with loved ones. Ask yourself, what am I doing repeatedly that could be systematized or automated? This secret is uncomfortable, but it's your net worth is your net worth. Every millionaire I interviewed talked about the importance of surrounding themselves with ambitious, successful people. One told me, show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your future. Here's why this matters. If you're surrounded by people who think small, complain constantly, and avoid risk, you will too. It's human nature. We mirror the people around us. But if you're surrounded by entrepreneurs, investors, and high achievers, you start thinking differently. You see what's possible. You learn strategies. You get introduced to opportunities. Rachel, a self-made millionaire, told me she intentionally upgraded her friend group. She joined mastermind groups. She attended conferences. She hung out at networking events. She said, "It was awkward at first. I felt out of place. But within a year, I'd met 3 mentors who changed my trajectory. One introduced me to an investor who funded my business. Another taught me negotiation skills that doubled my income. Your environment shapes you more than willpower ever will." Here's the brutal truth. If everyone around you is broke, struggling, or stuck, you probably will be too. Not because you're incapable, but because you're absorbing their beliefs, habits, and limitations. So what do? Phase 1. Audit your circle. Who are you spending time with? Are they lifting you up or dragging you down? Phase 2. Find your tribe, join online communities, attend meetups, engage in forums where successful people gather. Phase 3. Hire mentors or coaches. Invest in guidance from people ahead of you. Consume high-level content. Don't read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos by people living the life you want. One millionaire told me, "I paid $25,000 to join a mastermind group. Best investment I ever made. I made $500,000 in the first year from one connection I made there." Surround yourself with winners, and winning becomes inevitable. Here's a hard truth: broke people spend money to look rich. Rich people invest money to become wealthy. Every millionaire I spoke with mastered delayed gratification. What does that mean? Saying no to short-term pleasures so you can say yes to long-term wealth. Tom, a real estate investor, told me, in my 20s, my friends were buying new cars, taking luxury vacations, and eating out constantly. I drove a 15-year-old Honda, lived in a tiny apartment, and Brown bagged my lunch. They thought I was cheap, but I was investing every extra dollar into real estate. Now, at 38, I'm financially free. They're still working paycheck to paycheck. This isn't about deprivation. It's about priorities. Here's the shift. Instead of asking, can I afford this? Ask, does this move me closer to my financial goals? New iPhone? Probably not. Course that teaches you a high-income skill? Absolutely. Eating out 5 nights a week? No. Investing in index funds? Yes. One millionaire, Julia, told me she lived on 50% of her income for 10 years. The other 50% invested. She retired at 42 with $6 million. Here's what I learned. Every dollar you spend today is a dollar that can't compound tomorrow. If you invest $100,000 today and it grows at 10% annually, in 30 years it's worth $17,449. But if you spend it on something you'll forget in a month, it's gone. The millionaires taught me wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. So, ask yourself, am I spending to impress others or am I investing in my future? Here's a mistake I made for years. I chased shiny objects. I'd start a business, get distracted, start another project, quit, try something else. I was busy, but I wasn't building wealth. Then I interviewed millionaires and discovered every single one of them focused on one thing for years until it worked. Not 10 things. Owen Mike built a software company. It took 7 years to become profitable, but he stuck with it. Now it generates $3 million a year. Elena focused on real estate investing. She bought her first property, then another, then another. She didn't dabble in stocks or crypto or e-commerce. Just real estate. 20 years later, the 12 million net worth. The millionaires taught me depth beats breadth. Most people fail not because they're not talented. They fail because they quit too soon and move to the next thing. Here's the truth. Success takes longer than you think. Most businesses don't turn profitable for 2-3 years. Most investments compound slowly. Most skills take years to master. But if you stick with anything long enough, you become excellent. You build momentum. You compound your efforts. One millionaire told me, I'd rather be a master of one than a dabbler in 10. So, what's your one thing? What can you commit to for the next 5 years, no matter what? After interviewing 100 millionaires, I realized something profound. Wealth isn't about tactics. It's about paycheck-to-paycheck differently. Every millionaire had a fundamentally different belief system than broke people. Broke people think money is scarce. Millionaires think money is abundant. I just need to create value. Broke people think rich people are lucky. Millionaires think rich people take calculated risks and learn from failures. Broke people think I'll start when I have more money, time, resources. Millionaires think I'll start now with what I have and figure it out. The difference between wealth and poverty is 6 inches. The space between your ears. Here's what I learned. You can give 2 people the exact same opportunities, resources, and information. One will become a millionaire. The other will stay broke. Why? Mindset. So if you want to build wealth, start by changing how you think about money. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one secret from this video. Just one. And take action on it. TSIMUEK. Will you start thinking in equity instead of salary? Will you identify an expensive problem you can solve? Will you make an asymmetric bet? Will you automate one thing in your business or life? The millionaires I interviewed weren't special. They just thought differently and took action consistently. You have the same 24 hours. The same access to information. The same opportunities. The only question is, will you use them? If this video gave you value, hit that like button, subscribe for more wealth, building content, and drop a comment telling me which secret resonated most with you? Remember, wealth isn't reserved for other people. It's available to anyone willing to think differently and act boldly. Now, go build your empire.